All right, look, despite what you may have heard, there's never been an easier time to scale an online coaching or consulting business. The problem is that there's too much regurgitated bullshit out there online, and most gurus actually aren't sharing their best stuff, because if they did, they would lose their competitive edge. Which is exactly why today, I'm pulling back the curtain to show you the exact step-by-step framework that I use to grow my Inner Circle program and that I've been using for the last few years to help my clients hit 20, 30, 50, even 100K months. And I want to be respectful of your time and give you as much value per second, so let's just get into it. The biggest opportunity in 2025 that nobody's actually talking about is the For You page algorithm and how it's changed. Now, there's plenty of online gurus out there talking about how small channels are being pushed out and reaching new people, and that's great. But what they failed to mention was that this entire game isn't won by just getting more views by more people. They missed the critical part of this For You page push, which is that the things that YouTube and Instagram are now pushing out to your target audience isn't just going out and finding new people. Yes, it's favoring small channels, but what they're doing is they are favoring based on what these people are watching. For example, if you start interacting with business content about coaching, consulting, yada, 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 you will start to see more content from smaller creators about coaching, consulting, and yada, yada, yada. But if your goal is just to try to reach the most amount of people, aka going viral by posting clickbait and sensationalist headlines, guess what you're gonna get back onto your profile? YouTube and Instagram are gonna push more people back that like sensationalist and viral type content. And the problem with that is that viral content is really a mile wide and only a few centimeters deep. Whereas when you use strategic content, the types of content where you're able to talk about what your perfect client cares about, maybe it's a little bit boring, to be honest. I mean, you're here watching this right now. I'm not acting like a dancing monkey for you just to try to get your attention. I'm not using manipulative retention editing schemes to make sure that you stay with me and watch the video. If you choose to stay and watch the video, it's because I'm providing value for you based on a problem that you have that I'm hoping that I can help you solve. And so when we do that, when we're using this strategic content, yeah, we get less people, but it's a mile deep. Now, with viral content, that's great if you just want to be an influencer. If you just want to land brand deals and you just want to reach as many people as possible with your message, that's great. By all means, don't let me stop you. But if you appeal to dancing monkeys, don't be surprised when that's what you get back in your account. And if you're an actual business owner and you're trying to land deals, you're trying to recruit clients from your content, dancing monkeys are not the kind of people that you want to be working with. And when you have somebody sit through your long form content, or what you would call maybe your boring content, your non-sensationalist content, those are going to be the kind of people who resonate with your message. And this is the part about the For You page algorithm that most people aren't discussing, because the platforms are going to send you more people that like to engage with your content. Yes, you're going to get fewer views. That's okay, because they're going to be the right views. I would take 200 views on my content of 200 engaged people of the right target audience that I'm trying to serve versus 100,000 views of very fleeting, low intent, low quality eyeballs that's just reaching the broad mass market. Unless I'm pushing maybe affiliate offers or brand deals, or I'm just trying to grow a non-intentional personal brand to become an influencer, then that's all well and good. But if you're actually trying to sell services, if you're actually trying to land clients, then it's really not the direction you want to go. Now, if you want a copy of my best performing script, one that manages both virality and reach without sacrificing the quality of who you're speaking to, then go into the comments, drop me a script down below, and I'll send it over to you absolutely free. The next part of the equation is to always be giving. And this isn't just in terms of what most gurus are going to tell you, which is just, hey, always be giving value, always be pumping out value, always be helping, always be this. And while that's part of the equation, not all value is equated equal. With the rise of AI, with ChatGPT, with Claude, Anthropic, and whoever else is going to take the reins in the next little while here, anybody can go on there and they can whip together a 3 steps to get result type of reel. And that's really leveled the playing field for absolutely everybody. And it's created a lot of noise in the market. And so when you do that, all of your market here doesn't know who to follow. So the types of content is now going to be filtered by your audience, because you're competing with people like me, Alex Hermosi, Cody Sanchez, people who have their brand and have their message very dialed in about who they want to speak to. And so we're all competing for essentially the same eyeballs. Now, your audience is using that as a filter. As they flip through, they're deciding who they want to watch. So even though you're able to crack the For You page algorithm and get in front of the right people, you still need to now win their attention. And the only way to do that is to put out valuable, insightful content. Now, we don't just want to be putting out 3 steps to result type of content. We want to produce content that starts discussing why their existing method doesn't work, why our existing method works better. We want to be talking about stories and giving them deep, valuable insights into their journey. Maybe it's talking about what the next step is. Maybe it's eliminating a roadblock for them. But these 3 pillars of content here are going to do a much better job of capturing their attention, because ChatGPT, for the most part, can't capture this stuff. Neither can any of the other AIs. The only people who can capture this are people that have gone out and lived it. That deep insight that you can provide as an expert just isn't going to come through when you try to use AI. Now, that's what all your competition is doing. The number of reels that I see on a daily basis, which is get 90 reels done in 30 seconds, comment for the prompt, that is not going to help you grow. It's not going to help you get the right type of people watching your client. Think back to the For You page. If you're only attracting people who want cheap, easy prompts, those are the kind of clients that you're going to attract. Those are the kind of people, the eyeballs that are now coming to you, following you, getting on your email list, and potentially enrolling with you in the future. Are those really the type of people that you want to be working with? The ones who just want quick, cheap, easy, fast results? I can tell you from experience that even though you may enroll 1 to 2 of them, they are going to be your hardest clients to deal with, because they're going to be the ones who want the cheap, fast results. They think of it like the microwave economy, and they're not going to stick around. Whether they get results or not, they are not going to stick around. They're going to be on to the next thing, because they're the ADHD monkey brain of client, and it's not who you want to optimize your business for. You, excuse me, you want to optimize your business for the type of people who know what you do, know how you help, they buy into and resonate with the key insights, stories, and whys that you're telling them. And those are the kind of people that will stick around for a lifetime. I've had clients stick with me for up to 3 years. And it's not because they struggle to get a result. It's because that they see the value, they resonate with the journey, and they know that I can help them at each step along the way. Now, not only is your content a filter for your audience, but your content is a filter for your lead gen. So this is part 2 of Always Be Giving. You're going to have this broad mass market people who eventually the For You page is going to push your content out to. And at first, they're going to have to decide whether or not they want to watch your content. So if you are using content that goes deep in value, deep in insight, deep in why, into the exact problems that your ideal clients have, if a percentage of those people decide to now watch your content, a percentage of them will choose to follow you. Think of this in terms of a lead qualification cycle. And it's all happening for you on autopilot when you create content that engages with people in this way. So a percentage will follow. You'll offer a free resource, and a percentage will raise their hand for that free resource. Of that free resource, a percentage of them will engage in your DMs, of which a percentage will be qualified and enroll as clients. Now, if you look at this process from the top level down, you just took the entire mass market, qualified them by putting your content in front of them. They decided, they raised their hand because of the type of content that you're putting out there. They decided with their attention, with their time, with their energy to now engage and watch it. Then, beyond that, they decided to follow you. Now, if they go to your page and they see more of that type of content and they decide to follow you, they're following you because they like that content, likely because they're an in-market lead who has the problem that you can help solve. Then they're going to take it one step further and they're going to say, hey, I'd actually like that resource. I have this problem. I need help solving it, right? That is what they're doing. Most people get this part wrong. I helped an executive at one point who was trying to recruit new leads for an enterprise B2B level software. And at the time, they were giving away t-shirts and swag and were even considering gift cards and iPads. And while they were doing this, their sales team kept striking out on the leads. So I said to him, look, I like iPads, I like swag, I like gift cards. Does that qualify me for B2B enterprise level software? And I quickly watched as the color drained from his face as he understood my point instantly. What you use to attract people determines who you get inside your program or which leads that your sales team is now able to field. And so depending on what you're offering for the free resource, that's going to determine a lot about the quality of the leads that are now coming into your sales pipeline. From there, they'd engage in conversations, and these are ultimately your clients. So I'm hoping that you're starting to see how this content algorithm is now working. This is how, as creators, as business owners, as solo freelancers, we can weaponize the For You page algorithm in a way that hasn't been able to be done in history before. It used to be subscribers, followers, yada, yada, yada. Now, all the major platforms have adopted this For You page subject matter engagement where it doesn't matter whether you have followers anymore. You can be a brand new account. And if your content is good, if it speaks to the right people, it's going to go out and find more of the people that it's speaking to, which is why I keep trying to drill this home. But trying to go viral is so dangerous to your business. 100,000 cheap, fleeting views can actually destroy the quality of the algorithm to your account. Instagram is even more particular about this because the more people who watch it, it's going to season your account with data. And then it's going to continue showing it more and more and more in the future. And so if you're gaining followers that are not your ideal people, Instagram is going out and trying to find more people to fit that profile that is like the people that are engaging and following you. Think about that for a second. If you're gaining the wrong people, it's going to act as a negative flywheel loop, and it's going to bring you more of those people. And this is why a lot of people have trouble converting leads and converting clients from their content. It's not that hard. You just have to talk about things that your client actually likes. You just have to provide deep insight in your content, solve problems for your clients that they have, not some fleeting ChatGPT content. The funny thing is that the easier that you try to make this for yourself, the more shortcuts that you take, the harder this is ultimately going to be because it's going to bring you that low quality fleeting traffic. Now, let's move on to the next thing, because now that we're talking about leads and conversations, there's a principle that you have to live by if you're doing social media selling, and it's you gotta be OCD, which is called open conversations daily. And the reality of this is that if you have more than 100 followers, and again, you followed the process from the beginning to end, and you have gotten 100 followers who are in-market leads, you don't have a leads problem. You have a sales process problem. Now, your only responsibility as a CEO is to open pipeline, work pipeline, and close pipeline. Now, for those of you who are paying close attention here, you may realize that I wrote these backwards around the clock, and there's a reason for that. As you come into your business, you should follow at the hottest leads, the ones that are closest to the finish line, as possible. To illustrate this, if you look at this like a football field, okay, these are all the various yard lines. This is definitely not to scale. And this is, the end zone. If you're trying to get a touchdown, if you're trying to score, if you're trying to get a deal into the end zone, do you think it's going to be easier to run it in from the 10-yard line, the 50-yard line, or your 10-yard line? Now, obviously, it's going to be easiest to run it in from the 10-yard line. I don't think that's rocket science here. So this is how we need to set up our sales pipeline. And a lot of people, they make the mistake of just being willy-nilly, or even worse, focusing on all their new leads first. Now, if you have an SDR team, if you have a dedicated outbound phone rep, DM setters, whatever, that's a different story. You stick them on the open pipeline first. But if you have limited resources to be able to dedicate to your sales operations, you want to focus on the closest to the end zone deals first, always, and work backwards. Then once you've worked through your hot leads, these are going to be people who you've already spoken to in the DMs. Maybe you've already had sales calls with. Maybe there's somebody who you've already made offers to, or even previous clients that you need to upgrade. Your job is to close new revenue pipeline. And so you always want to start with the closest to the whole people. Once you've done that, once you can't move any of these markers any further, that's now when you want to go forward and do your follow-ups. You want to work through your pipeline. These could be people who have raised their hand for a resource, or people who are already in your DMs, and you're just moving now that pipeline further and further and further. And once you've done that, once you've done all your follow-ups, then we want to move out into open pipeline. And opening new pipeline, and this is doing what I call warm outbound, which is reaching out to new followers, engaging with people who are engaging in your comments, or potentially even just reaching out to people who you've had an interaction with on other people's content. But just remember that your responsibility as a CEO is to drive revenue, whether you're doing it individually as a solo founder or you're hiring people to do it for you. If you do not put revenue on the table, if you are not opening and closing deals regularly, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. Okay, so let's move on. Your Instagram profile, your social media profiles are your friggin' funnel. Guys, this is what a lot of people don't realize. You can open conversations with anybody here who has engaged in a comment with you, who has left comments or engaged with your post. They've added you as a follower. Again, if you're following the For You page algorithm hacks that we've been discussing here, these are all going to be fairly qualified people. Now, if they, for whatever reason, didn't get the memo, they watched your content and they don't look like they're a fit at all, well, then don't open a conversation with them. In fact, I would say to go as far as to remove them from your followers. But those are going to be some of the best qualified leads that you're going to get versus cold ads or cold outreach or what have you, because they've engaged with your content. They resonated with your content, they raised their hand, and then they even went as far as to follow you because they want to see more of it. That tells me that they're an in-market lead. You're creating a pool of people who are your target fit clients. From there, we want to move them down into the middle of funnel, and this is what happens mostly through your stories. You've got your stories and you've got your existing content. And this is going to be things like behind the scenes, showing them what you're actually up to day to day, posting case studies and results. And then once or twice a week, just going live and answering people's questions. Give them what's called results in advance. And this can be one of the best ways to create that connection with them, to take them from, hey, I'm an in-market lead, but I'm kind of cold, to I'm now connected with this person. I like this person. This person's giving me deep value that I'm not used to receiving at the surface level from everybody else out here. From there, we now want to activate this into a marketing or even sales qualified lead by dropping out offers. And these can be simple things like polls, 2 steps on your stories. So, hey, I just created this free 3-step training that's going to show you how to get result in the next 7 days. DM me result if you want it, right? Or a poll, which is, hey, just do you want it? And then a yes or no, right? Or yes, or what I like to do is I'll say yes, yes, but below, right? So, because they're not going to put no, they just won't answer. Now, once you've gotten them into your DMs, onto your email list, and they're engaging with your content, they're active on your stories, you can begin to start making offers to people. These could be in the form of direct offer invitations, transformational offers, where you're saying, here's where I was, here's where I'm at today, here's the process I followed, DM me if you want to work on that process with me. Or you can use the typical 5-1-30. I'm looking for 5 guys who want to scale to 20K a month in the next 30 days. Obviously, you want to tweak those, because if you're always looking for 5 guys, people are going to be like, why is this guy always looking for people? Now, that's how you get people to raise their hand with what's called sales qualified intent, or in other words, a sales qualified lead. Once you have them at that point, they've raised their hand and that they have intent to work with you. This can be done, again, via DMs, via your stories, or via your email that you've pushed an offer out that people have responded to. From there, it's just following the sales process and closing them as a client. But literally none of this entire process has to use a website at all. So any of you that are working on your logo or having to do a blog or a sales funnel, put that shit away. You don't need a sales funnel in 2025. If anything, it's just going to be a distraction. I've ran millions and millions and millions of dollars through sales funnels, and the amount of conversion rate optimization that you're going to have to do as a founder to try to make it work. I mean, think about it. When was the last time that you looked for a coach and you were browsing through websites thinking, I got to hire a business coach, yada, 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 versus when you're scrolling through Instagram and you're watching somebody like me, somebody like Alex Hormozy, who's giving you deep, insightful progress in how you can solve your problems. We're already right here. Your clients are doing the same thing. They're watching you, and they're not going to your website to scroll through your stuff. The lack of attention nowadays is so stark and alarming, but you can be in front of all of your ideal people by just posting and boosting content on Instagram and nurturing them via both email and your long form, aka YouTube. Okay? Now, I hope that's clear. We're going to move on to the actual sales process now, which is called Become a Doctor. Now, most people have this issue where they're trying to sell things. They feel awkward. They feel uncomfortable trying to pitch things. But at the end of the day, if you are prescribing a solution to somebody without understanding what the root cause of their issue is, prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. You should never be pushing an offer onto somebody that you're not 100% sure that can work for them. And the only way you could possibly know that is if you understand what their pain points are, what they've tried to achieve it, and what they're looking to be their actual dream and outcome. And so I have a process that I've coined over the years, and it follows what a doctor will do. And it's assess, diagnose, prescribe. Now, I had a client who came to me. We started running some Instagram marketing for him. We took him very quickly from 8K to 30K a month within the first about 60 days. He felt like his sales rate wasn't strong enough to begin with. So he went out and hired one of the industry leading sales coaches. I'm not going to name them. Now, this sales coach told him to completely revamp his sales process. And me and my wife are going out to dinner one night and I get a phone call from him. And he tells me, he says, look, we're nearing the end of the month. We've closed nothing. Our revenue is zero for this month. And I said, whoa, what happened? And he tells me, because he didn't let me know that he hired a coach before. He said, I hired a coach. He told me to do this. We started doing this presentation at the end of the sales calls where we're pitching the offer. And I said, whoa, I got to stop you right there. If you just sat on a consultation with somebody for 30 to 45 minutes and they pulled out a slide deck and asked you to sit there and listen to them pitch you for another 45 minutes, how pissed would you be? He said, I would absolutely hate it, but this is what this guy said to do. I said, look, man, you're a doctor, be a doctor. Here's the process you use. Assess, get them to tell you about their situation. Diagnose what the real problem is, because they're gonna think what the problem is. You're gonna know as the expert what the real problem is. And once you have those pieces of information, you can now give them a plan of implementation, which often I just tell people. I'll say, hey, here's what you need to do to fix it. Most people, if they knew how to fix it on their own, they would just go do it. And 90% of the time, people will say, how do I do that? You say, great, you work with me, here's how this works. And that's where you give them the prescription, which is one part the plan, one part working with you. I gave him this framework. Before we were done dinner, I get a message. I closed the deal. The next day, in the morning, I closed another 2Pay. Immediately, and what could have been his worst revenue month since starting his business, we got it back on track with one simple 15-minute phone conversation and using the assess, diagnose, prescribe model. Now, typically how you want to open up with this is you want to understand what their current situation is. Now, if you want the exact sales script that I use to do this on Instagram that I give to my clients, then head over to Instagram, give me a follow, and DM me the word sales script, and I'll just send it over to you for free. Now, you want to understand what their situation is. You want to understand what they've tried in the past. Okay? You want to try to understand why it didn't work and why they think it didn't work. And that's going to tell you what their actual roadblocks are. And that's going to give you a lot of information. And the other part of it is if they come into the conversation and they said, hey, I've tried this exact thing that you do before, guess what you shouldn't pitch them on? The exact thing that they've tried in the past. Now, if they say why they think it didn't work, now you actually have the ammunition to discuss, say, oh, okay, that makes sense. Most people that I've seen who do that have this mistake. We do things differently, and this is actually why. That deep insight and nuance can make all the difference in the world, and you can take people who have tried and failed with your exact system, your exact offer before, and turn them into raving fans and clients. Now, once you've identified what their roadblocks are, you need to figure out what their ideal situation looks like. Basically, you just need to understand what it is that they're looking for so that you can help put together the prescription of what it's going to look like to work with you. From here, this is where we make our diagnosis and our prescription. And then you just get into objection handling. The amount of salespeople that will tell you to do far more than this is absolutely ridiculous and borderline manipulative. If you have to push your clients to buy, guess what kind of clients you're going to get? You're not going to have people who want to buy from you. They're going to get buyer's remorse. They're not going to refer you over to their friends and family because guess what? It's going to make them look bad if they refer to somebody who's going to hard sell them when they get in contact with them. Now think about this. When you're on the phone with them and you're positioned as an actual expert, you're diagnosing their problem, you're looking at what their goals are, you're telling them why the things in the past didn't work for them and giving them hard concrete proof as to why that was the reason. And then you're the one who comes up with the diagnosis and the prescription. Guess who they trust to implement it? Guess who they refer to? I've received more referrals than probably anybody else in my space because of this one specific frame. And it's exactly why I haven't had to advertise much of my career because I've always had more than I could possibly handle. Now, this is why, is because every call that I get on, I'm positioned as an expert. And it's not like I'm faking it till I'm making it. I am an actual expert. If you're not an expert, you can have a hell of a time using this. But if you're an expert, which if you work with clients, you should be, therefore you're able to get on these calls and show them what it is that they're doing wrong. Not only are you going to confirm their suspicions, but you're going to be positioned as an expert to actually help them. And this is what closes deals. It's not a hard push sales script. It's not a 3-step framework that you can follow. It's being the expert. It's working with your people. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, giving them a custom diagnosis and a custom prescription to help them solve that problem. Now, if you want the actual sales script and the sales framework that I use to walk through this process in a more structured way, head over to Instagram, give me a follow so that the message can actually go through, and then send me the words sales script and I'll shoot you over the script completely for free. Now, I want to talk about actually scaling your business because at a certain point, once you're posting content, once you're generating messages, once you're doing follow-up, you're going to have to service clients as well. It takes a little bit of work. So there's a phenomenal book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy called Who, Not How. And the title of the book essentially sums it up. When you are looking to get a task accomplished, you don't want to look at how to accomplish the task. You want to look at who can help me accomplish this task in the least amount of time, with the least amount of effort, or with the highest amount of effectiveness. And there's a saying that I love that I've been listening to for years, and it's, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. This process that I gave you as a standalone business owner, if you just follow this every single day, right, 5 days a week, you will generate calls, you will generate clients, you will generate revenue. There is no doubt about this. I have never seen this process not work. Let me just put it that way. Now, what I have seen is I have seen people not execute it. And if you don't execute it, I don't know how you expect it to work. But if you go through, if you follow this process, if you do it, you show up every day and you actually get in the trenches and do it, it will work for you. But that is not a scalable process if you are the only one doing the work. So I want you to do a exercise for me this week. And I want you to do, it's called a time and energy audit. And what you want to do is you want to mark down all the times and things that you're doing throughout the day. So let's say 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., for example. Then you're going to write your tasks. Okay, I scheduled posts on social media From there, you want to look at the actual dollar value that that task brings to you and your business. Now, actually scheduling is a very low value task. That does not bring me a lot of value. Creating content, however, is something that brings a lot of value. So we'll say 9 o'clock, let's say creating content just for contrast here. Okay, I'll say actually creating content. That's a solid like $3 to $4 value. There's nobody else who can go out and do that for me, yet it's one of those activities that's going to reach many people. One piece of content that I put out there could reach 100 people, 3 of which become leads, 2 of which become clients. That one piece of content could attract me $5, $10, $15, $20,000 in revenue, depending on what the price point of my offer is. Now, from here, we're going to continue tracking. Let's say we're doing admin and email. Okay, very low value task. Let's even give it 2, right? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go through for the entire week and track everything here. Anything that is less than $3, you need to delegate that and get that off your plate immediately. So things like video editing, opens, so new conversations, emails, social post scheduling, anything that falls into this realm, guys, a VA can do for $3 to $5, maybe $10 an hour if you're looking for a more polished one. That you should, as a founder, you should not be doing those tasks. If you want to hit $100,000 plus per month, guess what? It doesn't come from you doing those tasks. The nice thing about this is that once you start outsourcing this, all of this process that I shared with you becomes very systematic. It gets done whether or not you have a bad sleep, whether or not you show up with a high amount of energy for the day. All of these tasks, the video editing, the opens, your emails, your social posts getting schedules. How many times have you gotten busy and just thought, I'm not going to do my follow-ups today? Okay, something came up and I couldn't get back to this person. Those types of activities are costing you money. Yet when you can outsource them to somebody for less than what that deal is worth for you, it's time and revenue arbitrage. And this is how you really scale businesses. Let me just put it this way. I have never met a business owner that has gotten to $100,000 plus per month who did not have at least one person helping them. Usually it's 2 or 3 at that point. Now, if you want to hit 100K a month, don't be delusional and think that you can do so just doing it on your own. If you want to go fast, go alone. You want to get to 10K a month? Boom, do so alone. You want to go far? Go together. And if you want my help with doing that, then feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. We can have a talk about what this looks like. Now, those were the 6 steps that you can use to scale your online coaching or consulting business on easy mode. And I can pretty well guarantee you that if you follow these steps to a T, that you will double, triple, or quadruple your business virtually overnight. Then you're getting into scaling mode. And to quickly learn how to scale using paid ads, go watch this video here.